Well, it's been quite a while since I had an update here posted, and let me tell you, it's been a pretty hectic three weeks here. Pretty sure it's almost a month actually. I think since I posted anything last, and quite frankly, it's been pretty hectic, like I said, and very busy. Between the weather that we had, between having some sunshine and getting dumped on with snow and dismantling the greenhouses. It's definitely been a whole lot going on up here. And I did try to get as many video clips as I did of kind of what was going on and how we're preparing for springtime here in Montana. And we're doing the veggie plants this year. We're selling all the little baby starts to help other people get started on their gardens. And it's pretty cool to see that even with this sporadic weather that we've had the last 3 weeks, complete sunshine, everything's melted, then we get, almost another 1.5 feet of snow the next couple days after that. And then it melts off. So it's kind of, this is a Montana early spring is what this basically is. We don't really get the rain, we still get the snow, but we're getting the warmer weather at the same time. And that's definitely what's been super nice to see the weather progressing towards getting a whole lot nicer. Sitting here, we're at 80 degrees, I think, today. It's been pretty nice the last 3 or 4 days. And, between a lot of the chores and other stuff like that, I'm hacking a lot of the cover crops because everything's growing super crazy inside. So all of the cover crop that I had planted, I hacked a whole lot of that down to kind of open up space in a lot of those pots and basically give the chickens and goats a little afternoon snack. So that's kind of the nice thing doing the cover crops. I mean, it's a little bit little bit of feed or a treat, kind of, since it's nice green stuff and we don't spray anything, no chemicals or anything like that. So that's all organic feed that was grown inside of the earthship. So kind of early season greenery feed. So it's kind of cool that if we were to kind of put a little more work into the cover crops, we would have a bit more to be able to feed the chickens. But for now, they definitely do more than their fair share of composting help. So that is taking some days out of the time here, was cleaning out the chicken coop with all of that and spreading it in, or piling it into the beds. And then also with the goat camper, was also scooping out all of the compost in there as well. And I have the chickens in there for now, still kind of scratching around, and they're kind of tilling the big chunks of the compost in there, which is kind of nice. But I'm gonna have all of this a lot more fenced off here pretty soon. It's been one thing after the other between getting vehicles fixed and all the little chores and stuff that go on. But it's kind of exciting. It's super nice out. It's getting a lot nicer out. We're able to get outside and start being outside a bit longer. The days are longer, so everything's growing a whole lot more and a lot more vigorously, I'll say, in the earthship. And you can kind of see in the side view, this was, it was super nice that day, and then the next day it snowed a bunch. So it's kind of what we've been dealing with the last, I'd say 3 weeks. It's been the last week that it's kind of calmed down, and we've gotten this nicer weather and very warmer weather for that. So stripping all the hoop houses down was one thing because they were becoming kind of a nuisance, and they need to be rebuilt anyway. In a different fashion, so that'll probably be a project soon to come. But other than the sporadic weather, it's been super nice inside of the Earthship edition here, growing all of the veggies. Everything's growing really well. Maybe it's a little on the cold side, but everything seems to be growing quite well. and the watering continues, as well as the transplanting. Everything here is just growing super vigorously. And I'll make another update because, yeah, I mean, this is older video clips throughout the last 3 weeks or so, and everything's grown, 5 times the size, and it's very lush and green. It's quite an atmosphere that's inside of the addition here, inside this greenhouse. The air that you breathe in, it seems a whole lot different than outside, and I'm sure it's like the humidity and just the temperature and the plants and stuff, so a bunch of stuff to it. But it's a great atmosphere, and it's really encouraging seeing all this growth and getting prepared for going outside and planting out garden beds and such, and having it look just as green and all and lush. So definitely can't wait for that. But this is kind of how Montana is. It kind of teases you a little bit with all this nice weather, and so outside is a no-go. Unless you've got hoop houses and are able to keep things warm. But like this Addition greenhouse, this earthship, we've already got our strawberries blooming out and fruiting, actually. And this is beginning of April and into end of April here, which is pretty cool that we're bearing strawberries this early. But just the plus, and just makes it all that more encouraging for outside, even though outside is quite snowy and somewhat depressing, as you can kind of see in the background. But it's nice because if you have your own hoop house or your own greenhouse, you can be harvesting so many greens before you're even outside. You can have so many different kinds of harvests with leafy greens and some other stuff, if you're careful, even though it's snowing outside, and not ready to plant outside. You could still be eating stuff for yourself, which is kind of nice to be able to taste a lot of these different varieties of leafy greens that we got, like kohlrabi, the mustard, the kale, and the lettuces and stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty nice to be able to just pick right from the garden and eat, truly fresh, I think, right there. So otherwise, that this is just part of the earthship life, and just where we are in Montana. This is what we have to have patience for, is how the weather is. But we can accommodate by building structures in sustainable ways and reaping the benefits of our labor here, which is super nice to see all of our green that's growing twice as well. And we're on a lot better footing compared to last year. We've learned a lot more, and now we've been able to step things up a whole lot, where we have this mass amounts of vegetables and fruiting stuff and fruiting trees, the mulberry and stuff like that. And even though it's a pain in the butt to have to transplant a lot of these, it's still going to be worth it, and it is still worth it. And it's cool to see, because this is old videos, so these have all grown quite a bit, so everything is already going to be pretty ginormous going outside, which is going to be cool to see how well we've taken care of things inside. As you can see, some really nice roots, white roots, and this thing definitely was ready for transplanting. So we'll have really big plants going outside that'll hopefully be adapted to the weather. And I left one hoop house standing, just so that I could put plants out a little bit earlier here and not have to be worried about any snow or big rainstorm or anything coming down on them here, because May is still a flick of the switch of the Montana weather attitude, so, because there is still the chance for snow and kind of some drastic weather here throughout the month. So we still even have just about 3 weeks till we're able to really go outside, unless we have things underneath the hoops, or unless you have things underneath the hoop house or a wallopini of sorts underground house. Yeah, we've got to work on that as our in-ground hoop in-ground kind of greenhouses that we have. They're not Wallopini's exactly, but I'll make a future video of that. But this is, you know, the inside of the house garden here that I've been showing, and it's really cool to see, you know, this mulberry not even into May yet, and that thing has already just covered the window with branches and leaves, so it's a really fast grower. So if you've got space inside of your house for a mulberry tree, they do come in dwarf size, so they'll grow to a max of like 15 feet, but you can trim it down and you can make clones of it, and spread the love to other people with fast growing trees, basically. So, but this is our bed now, you know, 2 years, I think, almost 3 years of putting some compost and mainly watering this bed with all of our gray water. You know, we've got a whole lot of red wiggler worms, composting worms going on in our garden bed. Like our garden bed, the soil, you know, is just super fertile. It's really nice, crumbly, that crumbly cake kind of chocolatiness that everyone kind of talks about in the gardening world. But it's super good. We've got, you know, we put in a handful of worms to begin with, and now just about this whole garden bed is full of these worms. So now we're basically worm farming while we're growing plants, and it's like all these trees that we're growing inside as well. We're letting all of those leaves fall and compost and build the mulch layer, as well as some hay and straw, and just growing all kinds of plants inside of the bed. So mimicking nature is our goal out here, as well as keeping it simple, and this is as simple as it gets, honestly. And that's what we like doing here. We like keeping things super simple, not too complicated, not too complex, but at the same time still having some complexity to it, and, you know, having some complications, because it's all a great experiment. And that's what we like doing here, is experimenting and, you know, stepping up, improving, doing better than our, you know, best, you know, year after year, basically. And it gets a little chaotic, honestly. That's just part of the life. That's just part of how we live and what we're doing. You know, we're only two people, you know, doing definitely, I think, a whole lot. But it's all worth it in the end. So it's, you know, whoever is interested in this kind of lifestyle or living off grid and making their way, you know, there's lots of things that can help us, you know, including people like myself that at least kind of document what's going on, you know, how we're doing some things on our homestead, you know, as well as watching other homestead channels and other people and asking questions in forums and stuff like that. You know, I think it's, for myself at least, you know, how we've kind of done things and how I've kind of done things is, you know, looking at a lot of different ideas and kind of, you know, which ones do I like or agree with, you know, along with, you know, what am I trying to achieve on the farm? What are we trying to achieve here? And what are our goals and values and stuff like that? So I apologize for the, you know, long time with no posting. I'm sure people might be a little curious or just maybe a little bummed that, you know, I'm not posting videos every day, which, quite frankly, like, it gets super busy. You know, there's all this sunlight, there's a lot of stuff to do. I actually I couldn't find like the phone stand either, so I definitely didn't have a stand for the phone to even show little clips of what, you know, we were doing, time lapses and stuff like that. But I've got some clips going on. We've definitely got more stuff to do. The weather is supposed to be a whole lot nicer, so we can be outside more, as well as it has been a little difficult for ourselves because our internet service definitely has not been the best in the last month, and so it takes forever to load videos and do a lot of other things that are on the internet. So forgive me. Hopefully there's still people that watch. I'd love to hear more questions from people, maybe on, how, maybe an opinion on what, could be done on their homestead, in the area, kind of similar what we're doing, or comments. Definitely comments or more questions, honestly, of other material that I could cover. I've got, some other stuff in mind that I want to do, but I also do kind of have some things that need to lead up to other things. And so I will keep video documentation of a lot of that stuff. So, but for now, this is what's going on. I've got a lot of watering to do back here. There's a lot of dry plants in here. So as it gets hotter, more demand from the plants. And then, yeah, we're going to be selling a lot more veggie plants. And we've already sold a little bit so far, which is super cool. We've still got a whole bunch, and hopefully we'll be selling a whole bunch more. And that's kind of the nice thing, as well as whatever we don't really sell a whole lot of, that's something that we'll be able to plant here and grow for ourselves, or we may have the chance to grow the abundance and be able to provide for other people. So I appreciate everyone that's stayed this long in the video and that has, stayed watching the channel. Definitely appreciate your support. Appreciate everyone's good thoughts. We've got more things to film. I actually found a phone stand that might be a lot better to use, so I'm going to try that out. We'll get some more clips of stuff, more time lapses coming your way. We've got the side shed to still work on. So did a couple other things on the farm, as well as kind of some updates and other things to show and give my opinion on, as well as why we do them, and what we're accomplishing here on the property, as well as what will be going on in the future. So definitely like, comment, or make questions, please. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe and comment, and we'll have more updates coming your way with what else will be going on the homestead. Thank you. Peace.